Bubba Wallace had everything going his way. He had speed, clean races, and a strong place near the top of the standings that felt stable. Then Martinsville happened. One corner, one decision, and one hit that sent Carson Hocevar spinning. Now a legend says it was not just a mistake, and that one moment may have just reset Wallace's entire season. Martinsville does not give drivers time to think. It forces decisions fast. The corners are tight, the space is small, and the margin for error is almost zero. Drivers know this before the race starts, but when the field compresses and positions matter, instincts take over. Lap 324 is where everything changed for Bubba Wallace. The field was stacked close. Cars were fighting for every inch because passing is hard at Martinsville. Wallace entered the corner with Carson Hocevar and another car beside him. It was 3 wide going into a space that barely fits 2. That alone was already a dangerous setup. There was no clean way out of that situation once it formed. Wallace drove into the corner hard. It was a full commitment. There was no hesitation in the move. His car made strong contact with Hocevar. The impact snapped Hocevar loose and his car spun up the track. In seconds, smoke filled the front stretch and cars behind had nowhere to go. What started as a tight entry turned into a multi-car crash almost instantly. That is how quickly Martinsville punishes one wrong move. Before that moment, Wallace was building something real. He was running near the top of the standings and showing consistency that matters early in the season. That kind of position gives drivers room to manage races without pressure. It lets them think long-term. But this crash erased a big part of that advantage in one move. The drop in points was significant. Wallace went from 3rd in the standings down into a tie around 8th. That is not just a number change. That is a shift in how the season feels. Instead of building momentum, now he has to recover. Instead of control, now there is pressure again. And pressure is where mistakes start to repeat. This is where the reaction from the sport becomes important. Richard Petty did not hold back. He said Wallace did not just lightly get into Hocevar. He said he drove in and knocked the door off him. That statement frames the move as aggressive, not accidental. It suggests Wallace forced the situation instead of reacting to it. That matters because Petty has seen every type of racing incident. When he speaks that clearly, people listen. His view was simple. This was not just a racing deal. This was a move that went too far. Wallace told a different story. Bubba Wallace said he misjudged the corner. He explained that he did not like being in a 3-wide position and got the entry wrong. He admitted the mistake but did not accept that it was intentional. That creates the tension in this situation. One side sees a forced move. The other sees a bad read in a tight moment. The truth sits inside the decision itself. Martinsville forces drivers to choose quickly. Wallace chose to enter that corner aggressively. That part is clear. The only question is why he chose to do it in that moment. Pressure plays a role here. Kyle Petty pointed toward frustration as a possible factor. Inside 23XI Racing, there is a clear standard being set by Tyler Reddick. Reddick has been more consistent and more productive. That creates a comparison every week, whether it is spoken or not. Drivers feel that. When results matter and comparisons grow, the pressure increases. That pressure can lead to drivers forcing moves that they would normally avoid. A small gap looks bigger. A risky entry feels necessary. That is how a normal corner becomes a turning point. This was not a last-lap move for a win. That is what makes it stand out more. This was a mid-race decision that created late-race consequences. That points to judgment, not desperation. It shows a moment where patience was needed, but aggression took over. The crash itself made things worse because it did not stay between 2 cars. It triggered a bigger wreck. Multiple drivers were caught up in it. Strategies were destroyed. Teams that had clean races suddenly had damage. That increases the impact of the mistake beyond just Wallace and Hocevar. Carson Hocevar was the one who paid the immediate price. He was in a tight position, holding his line, and got turned. His race ended because of a move he did not control. That matters inside the garage. Drivers remember who puts them in those situations, especially at short tracks where space is limited and respect matters. Wallace's response after the race showed he understood the weight of what happened. He did not fully defend the move. He admitted he misjudged it. He said the team needs to reset before Bristol. That word reset is important. It means something went wrong beyond just the car. It means the decision itself needs to be corrected. Reset is about control. It is about knowing when to push and when to wait. Martinsville rewards drivers who are patient. It punishes drivers who force the issue. Wallace forced it in that moment, and the result shows what happens when that balance is off. Now the focus moves forward. After a mistake like this, drivers replay it in their mind. They go over every detail again and again. The entry speed, the line, the timing. That replay can affect the next race. If it stays in the driver's head, it changes how they approach the next battle. Too much caution can cost positions. Too much aggression can repeat the same mistake. Finding the balance again becomes the challenge. That is where seasons are shaped. The point situation makes it even more critical. Without that early cushion, Wallace cannot afford another race like this. One more bad result, and the standings tighten even more. That creates more pressure, and the cycle continues. Inside the team, this moment will be analyzed in detail. Data will be reviewed. They will look at every input and find the exact moment where control was lost. Then they will ask the key question. Why did he choose that line? They will replay the corner from every angle. They will slow it down frame by frame. They will compare it with earlier laps where he got through clean. They will check if the entry speed was higher, if the braking came late, or if the line was tighter than before. Nothing will be guessed. Everything will be measured. That answer matters more than the crash itself. If the choice came from pressure, they need to calm it. If it came from misjudgment, they need to fix it. If it came from aggression, they need to control it. Until that is clear, the risk remains. Because if the root cause is not solved, the same moment can happen again in a different race, in a different corner, with the same result. This is why this moment matters so much. It is not just about one incident. It is about momentum breaking. Before Martinsville, Wallace had control of his season. After Martinsville, that control is gone. The flow he had built is now interrupted, and getting it back is never easy in this series. Momentum in racing is real. When it is strong, decisions feel easier and races flow better. When it breaks, everything becomes tighter. That is where Wallace is now, in a tighter position, both in points and in mindset. Even small moves start to feel bigger when the margin is gone. The next race becomes a test. The next time he enters a corner like that, everyone will be watching. Will he back out and avoid the risk, or will he go again and trust the same instinct? Will he choose patience, or will he try to take control again? That decision will show what this moment really means, because drivers are not judged only by mistakes. They are judged by how they respond to them. This is where Wallace's season now stands, on a thin line between recovery and further trouble. One clean race can settle things. One more mistake can push it further the wrong way. It all goes back to Martinsville. Lap 324, one decision, one hit, one moment that took a strong season and turned it into a question.